we all remember the rocket, right?
Rocket Man.
Yeah, exactly. Falling down to Earth to poison the villagers.
Yes.
Anyway.
It like rolls off the tongue.
What I'm showing you now is something that happened a long time ago. This isn't the one we showed the previous week. This is from a few months ago. All right? But it's very similar.
It's relevant because it happened. Oh!
This happens a lot.
Yeah, it does.
That's the point of showing this older one. This is from last week.
Yes.
Okay?
I can't believe there's been a sequel since then.
It happens a lot.
I know, but since then.
Oh, yes.
It was a week ago.
This again is from months ago. This is when you can see the toxic fumes on a person's house.
Yeah.
There's debris in their little fields where they, plant their crops. There's a piece of the booster or whatever there. Now there's another thing that's just happened. Okay. Remember, everyone, that China is trying to compete with America for basically taking payloads up into space. Okay? Because if they can undercut the USA, then any country around the world or any scientific organization that wants to send up a satellite or send anything into space, they'll pay China to do it rather than the USA. So they're developing a knockoff.
That's the idea.
Yeah. So basically, they have a knockoff of the SpaceX. We're all familiar with the Falcon 9, I believe it is. It goes up and it can land again. So they're trying to
make a competition to do it cheap.
Yeah, but they've knocked it off.
Yeah.
They have their own copy of it. It's nothing new. But now they're testing the copy, and it's supposed to be a static test. So they kind of strapped it down to a scaffolding and lit the fuse to test the engines. But they used made in China scaffolding, rubbish tofu dreg scaffolding, which just broke and it flew up into the air. It wasn't supposed to.
Yeah, so it was basically, imagine a rocket sitting here like this.
Yes.
It's supposed to go.
Yeah, and not move anywhere.
Done.
Yes.
And then you go, okay, it's done.
Yeah, and you've tested the burn.
This one went. Ah!
Yeah. Now, luckily for them, it got damaged leaving the launch pad.
Yes.
And so it prevented it from going further. They're trying to say, oh, no, we shut it down with some automatic. No, they didn't shut anything down. The thing got damaged, and that's why it fell back to Earth.
Yes.
And the reason why it's so important is this is right in the middle of urban centers.
Yes.
Everywhere around this test site
High-rises.
are towns and cities.
Yeah.
Within 2 kilometers.
Yeah.
Really close.
This is right near Zhengzhou, which, let me just pull up the population here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just want you to know how close this is.
Yeah.
Zhengzhou population, 10.35 million.
Yes. So can you imagine doing a dangerous test like this right next to population centers? China's a big place. They don't need to do that.
It's like doing this right outside of Manhattan.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, send it up. And everyone's like, what's going on?
Yeah, so we'll show you some footage here because so you see, it wasn't supposed to take off, and that's why it's flat on the top because it doesn't have a payload.
Yeah.
So it was supposed to be just to test the the booster engines and stuff on the ground.
Tofu dreg bolting down of
Yes.
this rocket that wasn't supposed to go
Nope.
up.
What goes up must come down.
Chabudo, as we say. Chabudo is even better of an explanation.
Yes.
Good enough. Wasn't good enough.
No. I mean, look at the
there's
size.
high-rises
Okay, you
there.
can see the buildings are right there, okay? But it becomes more apparent when you see people filming it from their balconies.
Yeah.
Like this person is filming from a balcony, right?
Yeah. It looks like a war.
Yeah. But look how close it is to these buildings.
Doesn't that remind you of Ukraine war footage? Like
yeah,
when
it's like
Russia bombs
the Russians
the
sending
cities
in,
or whatever?
Yeah, it's like that. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
This is not these aren't like little shacks in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
These
and
are
I mean,
thousands of people.
In the audio, you can hear glass shattering. When the shockwave hits, you can hear glass shattering. And
Yeah.
it was close enough to destroy people's windows and stuff. So, it's pretty crazy and very irresponsible that they would do this so close to population centers.
Crazy World Creative Passion says, I'm not a rocket scientist, but that's definitely not supposed to happen.
No, no, it's not. And apparently the people in China building these rockets aren't rocket scientists either because they can't even get this basic safety stuff right.
Apparently not.
Yeah. So
I heard it was another YouTuber, I can't remember his name, some space-related YouTuber. He said something like, well, the rocket scientists are incredibly important, but so are the bolt-down scientists.
yes, yeah, the scaffold scientists.
Don't try to cut corners.
Yeah,
that
exactly. Just to, again, prove how close it is to population, here's a little, looks like a little factory yard or something, not that far off, right? And they're just like, hey, what is this,
Yeah.
And the video cuts just as the shockwave hits.
Yeah.
But
It's
you
crazy,
can see that it hits, though. I slowed it down right at the end because, look, they're like, oh, what's going on?
You can start to see it envelop the background.
Well, yeah, you can see, like, and then you can see, look how the trash and the dust suddenly lifts. And that's all behind walls and stuff.
Yeah.
So there's a huge shockwave that hit this little construction yard. So people's homes were damaged and stuff around there. But if it hadn't come down crashing almost immediately because it hit the scaffolding and damaged itself, it could have flown into the middle of a population center.
Yeah.
It just shows you how irresponsible China is when it comes to this kind of thing. They don't care about the people.
Again, I always use this as an analogy, but it's so true to life, like how things are in China. I was in the car with a CCP official, and he was ripping through the countryside, and there were villagers basically jumping out of the way. Right?
Yeah.
Like he was almost running them over. He was trying to show off and explain to the people in the car that it's cheaper and not even worth my time. If I run one of these people over, I could just pay off their family. It's not worth my time.
Yeah.
And that's how the government sees poor people in China. They'd rather hide them. They don't exist. They say, oh, poverty doesn't exist anymore or whatever.
Yeah.
Those people in the countryside, if they get hit by a rocket, it's not worth the millions we had to put into actually calculating where it would go.
Exactly.
If we blow people up, it's not like they can talk about it. It's not like they can protest.
Yeah.
It's not like they can post something online.
Very true.
They sneak out footage here and there, but that's about it. They don't have to worry about fallback
No, they don't.
or fallout.
Fallout, yeah. Well, I mean, just shows you how irresponsible they are. Now, we've got another thing that's just happened this past week as well. Let's get to it, which is this.
Yes.
Remember, we covered not that long ago, actually.
I know, these are like sequels to each other.
Yeah, we had another big subway collapse in Chengdu, right?
Yes.
What was that, like 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, something like that.
Not that long ago.
No.
So, massive big subway collapse sinkhole. Now, this is Xi'an, 500 miles away from Chengdu. So, just to show you, it's not like one little area or one region that you're getting sinkholes.
Yeah, this is 500 miles.
Just poor construction practices around the entire country that causes this.
They were building a new metro station, I believe.
Yeah, exactly. And, they made a mistake and all this water gushed out and this massive sinkhole appears.
Wild sinkhole appears.
Yeah. And, I mean, when you just look at this,
This just keeps happening.
yeah, you can see how dangerous it is and how it just undermines the entire ground there.
Yeah.
And it's next to buildings, which is very scary because now the foundations of those buildings have obviously been affected and the whole stability of that entire area is messed up now. You know? So here's some drone footage of it. You can see the road continuing to collapse.
The Earth eats China. Have you noticed this?
Yeah. I'm curious as to how much it's spread because we only have this early footage of it, right? And then they cordoned the whole area off and it's like, oh, it's out of the news now. But you can see it continues to collapse. So I'm curious as to how far it actually got. How big did that hole even get? Look how close it is to those residential buildings. You see the trees falling in there and stuff? All those buildings would have to be evacuated, and who knows what's happening there. Did they collapse too later? Who knows? It's kind of hard to say. But yeah, look at how bad it is. That's an entire side of the highway there, completely gone. So, yeah, it happened at night, and they're saying there are no casualties, but even if there were casualties, they wouldn't let you know. You know,
True.
That's the unfortunate thing.
That's true.
Yeah, here you can see probably earlier in the day. You can see it all collapsing in on itself. So let's take a look. You can do it. Oh, there goes a railing falling in there. This stuff's getting swallowed as well. So, I mean, if there were motorbikes or cars or anything in there, if they're small enough, you probably wouldn't see them.
True.
Just look how everything's just being swallowed up.
It's true.
Yeah. So, yeah. Bad construction. Tofu dregs attack suddenly in China. You never really know where it's going to hit because Xi'an is a massive city. It used to be the capital of China. All right? It's an important city.
Yeah.
It's got the 700-year-old wall around it. You've been there. I've been there. That's where the terracotta warriors are, for those of you who don't know. And, of course, this in Chengdu, another massive city, very important city. So it's not like some backwards areas that this happens in.
Nope.
Happens in the big cities. So, the kind of places you'll be visiting if you're a tourist.
Yeah.
Because I'm guessing you're going to want to go see the terracotta warriors. Well, imagine you go there and you're driving in a bus or a taxi on the roads of Xi'an and you get swallowed up in a sinkhole. It can happen. It can happen. Not saying it will, but, it can happen. They're like sweeping leaves under the tree, but they're not doing anything. And then there's a guy pressure hosing propaganda posters into a tree. You look at that and you think, oh, it's a brick wall.
They drew the bricks.
They are fake bricks.
What you do is you flatten out the top so it's not going to hurt your mouth. And then you cut it sharp at the bottom so then it's able to pierce the boba cup.
It's just like, we got to get these packages out. All right, whatever. Get this crap out of here.
Classic Chabadool construction here. This is
yeah.
when you buy cheap things online in China. You get Chabadool. This is Chabadool charity.
This is Chabadool charity.
All chaos breaks loose, right? The bear's going insane. It's getting into a rage. Right?
Yes.
It wants to F up this peacock,
Yeah,
right?
it doesn't like the peacock.
Oops.
When I close my eyes, I can almost sing it. When I take a breath, you fill up my lungs.